दोस्तों, लोकसभा में ओल्ड पेंशन की मांग सभी सांसदों द्वारा चारों तरफ से शुरू हो चुकी है। जी हाँ साथियों, इसमें करोड़ों कर्मचारियों की डीए महंगा भत्ता एरी के साथ साथ पेंशन धारकों की पेंशन बढ़ोतरी पर वादा करने वाली मोदी सरकार को झूठी सरकार बताकर लोकसभा में जमकर लताड़ा इमरान प्रतापगढ़ी ने। देखिए वीडियो में क्या कहा है। पुरानी पेंशन पर एक बार फिर से लोकसभा में जमकर हंगामा देखने को मिला है।
ये कह रहे हैं 4 करोड़, वित्त मंत्री जी 3 करोड़ कहती हैं, प्रधानमंत्री जी 4 करोड़ कहते हैं। पहले तो आप इस झूठ में ही आपस में ही सलट लीजिए कि 4 करोड़ सही है या 3 करोड़ सही है। भाईचारे के दीवाने दिन ही लौटा दो, वो सस्ती दाल सब्जी के सुहाने दिन ही लौटा दो। ये अच्छे दिन तो अंबानी अडानी को मुबारक हो, हमें ऐसा करो साहेब पुराने दिन ही लौटा दो। मैम, प्रधानमंत्री जी की सैकड़ों बार थपथपाई गई मेज के बीच अंतरिम बजट पेश किया गया और बड़े बड़े दावे किए गए। देश ये कैसा बनाया आपने, लूट कर पैसा बनाया आपने। देखिए जलते दिए भी बुझ गए, अजब दीपक राग गाया आपने। मैम, पूरा सदन अमृत काल के बजट की चर्चा कर रहा है, मैं तो गरीबों की रोटी और दाल के बजट की चर्चा करूंगा। तुम्हारी फाइलों में गांव का मौसम गुलाबी है, मगर ये आंकड़े झूठे हैं, ये दावा किताबी है। मैं इस बजट को अमीरों का अमीरों के लिए पेश किया गया बजट कहूंगा। इसमें गरीबों के लिए कुछ है ही नहीं। नौकरी मांगने वाले नौजवानों पर लाठियां बरसाने वालों, आपने इस बजट में युवाओं को क्या दिया? आपने पुरानी पेंशन बहाली की मांग करने वालों को क्या दिया? सालों से अपने लिए छत तलाश रहे लोगों को आपने इस बजट में क्या दिया? और फिर आपको पूरी उम्मीद है कि पूरा देश आपके इस पेश किए गए बजट पे लहालोट हो जाए, तालियां पीटे, मंगल गान गाए। कैसे संभव है? मैं सदन में खड़ा होकर के इस बजट पे चर्चा करते हुए कहना चाहता हूं कि इस बजट में फुटपाथ पर रहने वाले, छप्परों में रहने वाले, झुग्गियों में रहने वालों के लिए क्या है?
कर रही है मोदी सरकार, उसके बावजूद भी समाप्त नहीं हो रहा है ओल्ड पेंशन का मुद्दा। चारों तरफ से फिर से गिर चुकी है मोदी सरकार। लगातार पेंशन बढ़ोतरी के मुद्दों से परेशान हो चुकी है भाजपा सरकार। इसी के चलते आज की एक और सबसे बड़ी खबर हमारे पास आ रही है साथियों। इसमें महंगा भत्ते में भारत सरकार की तरफ से एक और सबसे बड़ा उलटफेर। 27 जुलाई की शाम को महंगा भत्ता, इसमें चमन से 53% डीए महंगा भत्ता कन्फर्म। इसी के साथ ही 90,000 वेतन बढ़ोतरी के साथ 18 मंथ एरी का पैसा पेंशन धारकों के खाते में जमा होने की संभावना यहाँ पे 100% हो चुकी है। आज की ये अभी भी सबसे बड़ी खबर आई थी साथियों। इसमें वीडियो को शेयर करें। नमस्कार, जय जवान।
I think there are two things that are of importance about this particular meeting of the Governing Council. First, that it took place very soon after the historic third term of this government. The second is that it retained the focus on Viksit Bharat at 2047. This had been the subject of last year's Governing Council meeting as well. Of course, since then we've been through an important general election. But I think that if it was the purpose of the Honorable Prime Minister when he spoke from the ramparts of the Red Fort on August 15th, 2022, to launch a national debate on how India should use its Amrit Kal of the next 25 years, I would say that first, he has succeeded. Second, that this is much more about a national mobilization than it is about a particular document. And third, that with the return of this government, it is the central focus of the efforts of government and the states. I'll leave my opening remarks at that. I would now ask CEO Niti Aayog to make his presentation, and then ask him to direct questions in the question and answer. So, Theo, would you take over?
Yeah. Thank you, Vice VC. Friends, I mean, this is the 9th meeting of the Governing Council of Niti Aayog, and this was announced quite well in advance. The Prime Minister had said pretty much in March that he would be convening a meeting of the Chief Ministers soon after the elections are over, which he did promptly. So soon after the election results, and he was sworn in, he held a meeting, and the date of the meeting was decided as 27th. Of course, the obvious reason being that with the Parliament being in session, everybody is around. So just to, get over what may be exciting some of you, what was the participation like? Then that's what I think, so that's the curiosity all around. We had 10 absentees. So let me be very clear. There were 10 absentees. And we had 26 participants. All states and UTs put together are 36 in number, minus 10 absentees, we have 26. Who are the ones which are absent? We had absentees from Kerala. That was indicated much, much earlier. I mean, pretty much early. I mean, probably 10, 12 days ago. We had Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Telangana, Bihar, Delhi, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh. The last minute, we had a dropout from Jharkhand and Puducherry for some personal reason. Bihar was having an assembly session till late yesterday evening. So there was no way he could have arrived. That was the reason why Bihar didn't come. The Chief Minister of West Bengal, however, was present, and she was also there. You may have seen some flutter here and there, etc. The Chief Minister of West Bengal had made a request to be given a turn before lunchtime. So I'm just putting facts on the ground, no interpretations. It was a very clear request from their side, because normally we would have gone alphabetically. So it begins with Andhra Pradesh, then Arunachal Pradesh, and then it goes on further down. Because West Bengal would be W, which would certainly come post-lunch session. They wanted a request. It was in writing, and we actually adjusted, and the Raksha Mantri actually called her in just before Gujarat. So she made her statement. Every Chief Minister is allotted 7 minutes, and there's just a clock on top of the screen which tells you the time that is remaining. So it goes from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4 to 3. At the end of that, it shows 00, nothing else. Nothing else has happened other than that. And what happens is, the Raksha Mantri just does that on his table. That's it. And that's it. And then she said that, look, I would have liked to speak for more time, but I'll not speak anymore. That was it. There was nothing more. We all heard. She made her points, and we respectfully heard and noted her points, which will be reflected in the minutes. So I thought I will get over that at the beginning, because I think that's what most people will be curious about. To mention the fact, her Chief Secretary continued to attend, and he was in the room even after she left, because she had to catch a flight to Calcutta. She said that she had an assembly session. That's what she told me. In the morning itself, she told me. So that's as far as that is concerned. Now coming back, so I'll take about 10 minutes to quickly brief you on the proceedings of the day. The agenda was titled Viksit Bharat, and it had two major items on the agenda. One was an approach paper for preparing a vision document for Viksit Bharat, and the second is the outcomes of the Chief Secretary's conference, which was held in end December, where the theme was ease of living, and certain conclusions were arrived at on 5 sub-themes under ease of living in drinking water, electricity, education, health, and land. So those conclusions of the Chief Secretaries were to be discussed and endorsed by the Chief Ministers. There were 2 parts to the agenda. As the Vice Chairman just said briefly, Viksit Bharat is something that the Prime Minister has been emphasizing since Independence Day 2022. From the ramparts of the Red Fort, he said we should start preparing for a Viksit Bharat by 2047. A lot of work has been happening since then. In a way, this is a part of that process. And to just make it more transparent and easier for all of you, we had in the agenda note circulated a document called an approach paper for a vision for Vikasit Bharat at 2047, giving justification. Why is a Vikasit Bharat plan needed? Why is this the opportune moment? Do you think India has the capabilities? What does Vikasit Bharat mean? And what do we all need to do to plan that out? That document will be distributed to at the end of this press conference. I think copies are ready. My officers are there. They will just be distributing it to all of you. Now, a lot of the discussion was on this item. The Prime Minister, in his own opening remark, emphasized on the need for this. He talked about his own travels around the world. He talked about his experience of G20, and he talked about the goodwill that is there around the world for India and the need for India, in his own words, to grab the opportunity. And if you don't grab the opportunity, you will lose something which the whole world expects you to do. I think that is something he said. And he said, but a Vikasit Bharat, which is a developed India by 2047, cannot be achieved just by wishful thinking. You must have tangible goals which have to be pursued. And he said that the chief ministers have a major role in this, and that's why it was being discussed here. It is because a lot of the action for Vikasit Bharat is the collective action of states. So his basic request to all the states is, please develop vision plans for yourself, for each state, because Vikasit Bharat at the national level is an aggregation of a lot of Vikasit states. And to tell you all, the good news is, over the last year, a lot of states have moved ahead in preparing vision documents. Uttarakhand has one, Uttar Pradesh has one, Gujarat has one, Tamil Nadu has one. In the pipeline, we have Goa, we have Madhya Pradesh, we have Chhattisgarh, we have Orissa, we have Assam, and we have a couple of other states also, Bihar, lining up to prepare vision documents. And I think he made it very clear, why does the aspirational district program or the aspirational block program succeed? It succeeds because it is clear, monitorable, with fixed targets. And if you have fixed targets, you know whether you are on line or not. I think if you want to achieve Vikasit Bharat, you should have fixed targets. So he emphasized that please prepare vision plans where you have targets which are monitored. It may not be for this generation, it may be for the next generation. But it's important that you are on the path from now itself. I think that is something he said. And the second thing, and you will get it from the paper we'll be circulating to you, India has demonstrated its capability in actually setting a target and achieving it. Be it in sports in the Asian Games, be it in Chandrayaan, be it COVID vaccines, be it in science and technology, be it in G20, we have demonstrated our ability to leapfrog and deliver what we promise. The nation, the Prime Minister said, is bursting with energy, competence and confidence. I'm translating into English. सीधी सी बात है. वो उत्साह बने, he said it, I was just noting the same, but this is the correct words. Confidence, energy and competence, it's all around. And it's the job of the leadership of the country at the national level and the state level to fulfill the hopes and aspirations of the people of India. And he said this is a golden opportunity. The second point he said is, it's not by throwing money alone that you can get everything. Money is often not the constraint. It's how you use the money, and more importantly, it's good governance that is necessary. And whether you want to succeed locally or globally, it's good governance and acting together which can take us to the outcome. He also talked about the positivity that is there for FDI around the world towards India. He wanted states to compete with each other to attract FDI into the country. So that, and he wanted a template to be prepared about how good states are. And the specific word he used is an investor-friendly charter. And start an investor-friendly charter and ranking states on how investor-friendly they are. So it's actually a modified version of EODB, ease of doing business, but actually a better one, where it will include a whole host of things like the legal system, what are the laws which are hindrances, what is the reduction in procedures which need to be simplified, what are the incentives that need to be given, how good is the law and order, how good is the transparency, how good is the infrastructure. So he's actually asked NITI to construct an index. So states can compete in attracting FDI. End of the day, you can liberalize everything in FDI at the national level. But where the FDI flows, is also important. And he made the point that if everything ends up in one corner of India, it's not good for the country. It needs to flow to all corners of the country. And I think he wants to use competitive federalism as a mechanism of doing this. Coming back on ease of living, I don't want to go into details. You can ask any of us later on. But the 5 themes on drinking water, we looked at, the document contained things like access, quality, and reliable quantity of water that is there. I think the Jal Jeevan Mission has done very well. We were less than, 16% of the households had tap connections when the program began. It's crossed 76% now. That's phenomenal. In rural areas, in urban areas, it began from 40 and has crossed 70%. Hopefully by the end of next year it would be. The Chief Secretary's conference that discussed, that was on the agenda here. A lot of Chief Ministers spoke about how they are doing in drinking. For example, the LG of J&K said that by December we will be 100%